Good. Hi everyone, I'm Rachel from RJ Hockey and I am joined today with some of my coaches. We've got Millie Isaacs, Saskia Lawrence, Jenny Hughes and Charlotte Fox. We also have invited a few of the RJ Hockey students. So joining us today is Lily Holmes, Megan Titcombe, Evie Grindle and Nancy and Connie Whittlestone. Connie also plays in my Clifton third team as well. So what are we going to talk about today? So we are going to chat about just two topics today and we'll take questions from our students. We're going to talk about, first one we're going to talk about is managing time. So how we all manage our time as effectively as possible. And the second thing we're going to talk about is expectations and pressure. So what pressures are you feeling as a young player today, in the player pathway, in the England setup, in schools, from parents, from your siblings, and from all your school buddy, all your peers? Okay, so that's the first thing we're going to talk about. Then is managing time. Well, who would like to kick us off? I think I'm gonna ask Saskia first. If you can talk us through, Sask, how you manage your week. I mean, you've got, with both you and Millie, it'd be good to hear from both of you, one after the other, actually, about how you manage things differently to each other, or is things very similar? You're both in the NAG setup for England under 16, so you're both dealing with lots of similar circumstances. So Sass, how do you deal with your time?
Yeah, I think the main thing for me is like managing schoolwork and hockey is like getting my work done as quickly as possible. Like any time in school at lunchtime or break time, just getting that done and out of the way. So when I go home and go to hockey, that I know that I've got that pressure off my shoulders, knowing that I don't have to come home from training because I get back quite late, like 10:30ish. I don't have to come back and then do work because I know it won't be like the best of my ability, and I don't really know if I'd had the motivation to do it. So I think getting work done and out the way, like quickly, can be quite helpful. And then also like not being afraid to say no to someone. So if you've got, I don't know, a school session or something, not being afraid to just say, can I stop this one, not take part, and just get some work done and keep up. And I think they'll understand fully. Just knowing that if you do have too much on your plate, that, or you're feeling tired or something, like it's good to just take that break and just like refresh your mind, get work done, and just getting that good balance between everything, I think is quite helpful and useful.
Mm-hmm. How many times a week are you training with your club currently?
Well, with club, it kind of depends. It's either every Monday and every Thursday, or I just mix it up because obviously it's quite a lot of travelling, so I just sort of mix it up, but definitely every Monday, and then obviously playing every Saturday.
Every Saturday. And what about school hockey? How often do you train with school?
We train every Wednesday night, and then obviously we have like PE and stuff during the week, but yes, school train every Wednesday.
What national stuff do you do on a weekly basis? Do you have anything on a weekly basis you have to do for England?
Yeah, we have like conditioning programs, so like different circuits to do with like strength and like our legs and arms and everything, and then we also have like running circuits that we have to try and complete every week, and just trying to fit them in is just quite useful because they're the things that are going to make you better. So it's just making time to do like one every night or something is just quite important, and it's really quick, like it doesn't take long.
Wow, that's a lot of work, a lot of things to do. What about you, Millie? How does your week compare to Saskia's week? What are you doing?
Yeah, I feel like my week's quite similar because I train for Clifton like twice a week, train for school twice a week as well.
Wow.
And yeah, with work, you got to balance it out. But I'm quite lucky because I have quite long breaks at school. So I'm able to do work during that time, which is quite good because I like my sleep. So once I get back from training, I like to go to bed.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like I can balance it well. And it's quite easy to balance if you know how to do it.
What do you both do on Sundays? Do you have hockey on Sundays as well?
If we have like an under 16 match, then I'd have hockey, but otherwise I wouldn't play.
Do you tend to rest on a Sunday if you've not got hockey?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, that's a lot to manage. let's compare that. Jenny, let's compare that to you. So you're currently not in the NAG system, but you've been heavily involved in Performance Centre and in the player pathway. How does that compare to your training previously?
I think it varies throughout the season. So in the busiest part of the season, I'd have hockey every single day, including Sundays if we have Performance Centre. Because if it's indoor season as well, we have indoor on a Monday night for Clifton, training on a Tuesday night for Clifton, school on a Wednesday, I then coach on a Wednesday, Thursday night's training for Clifton, Friday I coach county, Saturday school match and club match, and then Sunday's Performance Centre or indoor tournaments and under 18s matches. But then nearer the end of the season, I've got training on a Tuesday and Thursday and a Wednesday with school, and then just a match on Saturday. I think when I was doing Performance Centre, the Monday nights of Performance Centre were quite hard to manage because then it was another night in my week with hockey. But I think like talking to teachers about schoolwork, most of my teachers understand about my hockey commitments. So if I ever say, I don't think I'm going to be able to do this homework, I don't have enough time, they're so relaxed about it. They say, it's fine, don't worry, do it at any point you can. So I think like a way to manage the amount you have to do is communication.
Right, yeah.
There have been several times like go and I said to my mum, I said, I've got so much, I don't know how I'm going to do it all. And it can just be a simple thing like her saying, what can I do? And I say, can you fill my water bottle up for training, please? And she go, yeah, okay. And that's just like little jobs done. So I think the way to manage it is actually using the people around you, because they'll all be happy to help.
That does sound like you've learned how to manage your time really effectively. Do you ever get to the point where you're like, I just can't do this anymore, it's way too much, something's got to give?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Probably once every 3 weeks. But it's kind of, there's always going to training. I've got so much work, and then you kind of step onto the pitch and you forget about that and you enjoy your training session, and actually going and playing then puts you in a more positive mindset. So you then go home and you get a good night's sleep and you wake up and you feel better and you feel like you can manage it a bit more. So definitely times when I'm going, I can't do it anymore, but then I go and do a hockey session and I'm thinking, well, I definitely can do it.
I guess that's something that all of us here today have in common, is our passion and our love for the sport. And I guess, once we all get out there and start playing, or for me, coaching now, we just love it. So we forget about the kind of the stress and the build up to it. It'd be quite interesting to ask Charlotte, who I quite often call Fox, because Fox is actually the captain of my ladies threes team that are currently in Prem 2, but also has been in the player pathway system a few years before you guys. So I'm quite interested to know, Jenny, you said the Performance Centre sessions on a Monday can be quite stressful to tie in with all the school training and the club training, and then going to that on top. Performance Centre obviously is the last little stage to getting into the national setup program, into the NAG system. So it's quite important. How does that, Fox, if you can think back, all that time, it's not that long, is it? How does that, what Jenny was saying, compared to how you dealt with it back in your day a few years ago?
So we had county on a Friday, and then when I got through to Performance Centre, it was on a Sunday, whereas now they do it on Monday. So on a Sunday, we'd have Performance Centre, as in like the 6-hour training, and then if we had a match, then the Performance Centre the match would take priority over the Performance Centre. So it's just juggling it with that, and obviously like games on a Sunday, because as an age group, that's normally when clubs play their age group games. So it's like having to maybe turn up to Performance Centre later, or going to Performance Centre and then going to a game later. So it's just having to manage it with regards to that, I suppose, more because we didn't do anything on a Monday, so it was more of it was all squished into a weekend, because you had club games on a Saturday as well.
So Monday would probably be your rest night then for sport. Right, okay. So it sounds like nowadays you guys don't have that rest day unless you're forcing it in and saying to one of your hockey coaches, whether it's school, club, nags, it's not going to be nags, so you're not going to tell them you're tired and you're not coming, or performance centre or whatever, I need just a night off. Does that sound about right? Can I just ask, let's ask Lily, how does that sound? So Lily, you've got performance centre trials sort of looming. How does all that sound to you? It sounds to me, these guys are so busy all the time. And how does that sound to you? Do you feel like you are ready for this next step in your hockey career? Go.
I feel like I will be ready when it comes, but it will take some time to get used to it.
Yeah, so it's a lot of hard work and dedication. Evie, what do you think? Do you think it sounds like, because you've got another year until you get there because you're a little bit younger, what do you think? Do you think it sounds exciting, or do you think, what are your feelings listening to all these players, and they all coach for me now as well? What's it like listening to them about their week? Press the mute button, Evie. Press your unmute. That's it. That's okay.
It's quite exciting because it's just quite enjoyable to actually play for if I was to the JAC. It'd be quite enjoyable just
Amazing.
To try it.
So you're looking forward to that then? You love the pressure.
Yeah.
Nancy, let's ask Nancy then.
Yeah.
Nancy, you're a few years behind everybody. Nancy, what do you think? Do you think it sounds exciting to be that super busy with hockey that you haven't got time to do anything else?
I think it sounds exciting and it will be fun, but I think it's quite a big thing.
Yeah. Doesn't get much bigger than that, I don't think. Well, until you get onto the senior programme. Megs, what do you think, Megs, listening to everybody?
I think it sounds exciting, but very busy.
Very, very busy, yeah. Megs, have you got any questions you want to ask so far? No, just listening to us all talking. Have you got anything you'd like to ask any of the players or any of the coaches?
Do you give up certain stuff to do it, like the hockey?
Who wants to answer? Put your hand up if you want to answer, Meg.
I can.
Go on then, Jenny.
I think the main thing that you give up is social things. You can't really give up schoolwork and school. That has to happen. And you obviously can't really give up, well, you can, but don't give up the hockey. So the thing that goes first is probably seeing friends, and I don't really have a relaxing day in my week. So there's not really a chance to watch movies and stuff. So I think the main thing I give up is seeing friends. There's quite a lot of parties and sleepovers and stuff which you have to miss out on. Or you go to a party but you leave at 10 o'clock. So the main thing you miss out on is friendships. But if they're your right friends, they don't mind and they'll have you whenever you're free. But I think if you talk to your friends and say, "Oh, I've got hockey," they'll be understanding about it.
Charlotte, you're a few years on, aren't you? Who was about to talk then? Was somebody about to talk?
Me. Yeah, but it's fine away.
Oh, we'll come back to you now. Okay, Charlotte, you're a few years on from Jenny. Do you feel like your friendship circle and your life suffered at all from making so many commitments to hockey back in that time, or not?
I would say definitely, because I think one of the things is JAC on a Friday, so the academy centre is always on a Friday, and that's when you miss out on the parties because you're at the academy centres. And then you now on a Friday evening, if my friends are going out, I can't go out with my friends because I have a hockey game on Saturday, and I wouldn't want to jeopardise the team because I've been going out the night before. So it's things like that you just have to take into consideration. But like we have weeks off occasionally, like in half terms and stuff, and that's when people are back from unis. That's when is a good time to get in and see your friends, I suppose.
Yeah, sounds good. Saskia, what were you about to say?
I think it's also just like you also give up other sports to know that like that is the sport you want to do. So I used to play football and stuff, like, but you give up those sports because you know that's the one. But it's also, don't give them up too early, like, because those other sports are so helpful in your game. Because like I still play cricket and I still enjoy it, and it's also nice to have that time away from hockey when you go play another sport with like different friends and stuff. So it's really useful to keep those two sports going, but also like juggling them and balancing them so you're like happy with how much you do of each almost.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. I was exactly the same. I juggled hockey and badminton for a very, very long time. Do you think there's going to come a point though, Millie and Saskia, where you're going to have to give up one of those sports to maybe focus more on your hockey? Who wants to talk first?
I can talk first. I don't feel like I'll ever have to fully give up because I quite like playing netball as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't feel like I'll ever have to fully give up netball because like this year I had the choice of doing 2 terms of hockey, but instead in the netball term I would do hockey and netball because I didn't want to give up playing netball with my friends, but I also wanted to improve on hockey. So I just juggle it around because I still like playing both sports.
Okay, that's good. I like that. What about you, Sass?
Yeah, well, I gave up football because I knew that I wanted to play hockey, and like my football was quite a lot. It was like twice a week, a lot of training and stuff. So I knew it was the right thing to do to just say no to that, and I'm happy that I did because now I have more time to play hockey.
Yeah.
And then I quit netball in school so I could play matches on a Saturday. But I don't think I would give up cricket yet because it's nice to like have that, because it's all my friends like from home that I don't see as much because obviously with school stuff. So it's nice to play with them, and I still love the sport, so it's nice to have that two things to play. But also my cricket coach understands that I have hockey commitments. If I can't make training or something, he's very understandable about that. So yeah.
So that's good to know. Cricket as well goes hand in hand with hockey as well. It's a good sport to play to improve your hockey skills, I do believe. Talking about your coach there understanding, shall we move on to expectations and pressure and things? Who wants to talk about that? Like, I think everybody there that I'm looking at probably feels pressure and an expectation to perform and to be the best that you can possibly be every time you go on a pitch, no matter what you're doing. So even if you're just a team player on a Saturday, and if you play in my team, I expect the best of you every single week at training and playing in matches. I want you to be in tip-top condition every single time. So I do expect that, and I put pressure on every single person in my team and my squad to pull it out of the bag on a Saturday and come fully prepared, and have had a good night's sleep and have had the right food and have fuel in their body and be hydrated and all that kind of stuff. So that's just me for a hockey club on a Saturday. So that what about other people like school? Obviously lots of you are on scholarships, so there's that expectation from your teachers to perform from your school. If you're playing in ladies teams in clubs, the expectation there is from the coach to be your best on a Saturday. How are you all dealing with that? Let's ask Charlotte first, because she's not a school student anymore, and as my captain of my third team, I actually do put a little pressure on her to perform and to be the best that she can be because she's leading our team. So how do you cope with that from me? Because you don't have the player pathway anymore. It's just pressure from me, really, and maybe your teammates and all that kind of stuff. How do you deal with that?
Yeah, it's been really different this year, I think, because of the responsibility of being captain. Like, you're really focused on it all week, like sorting out the team, making sure everyone's happy, like positioning, and like speaking to you to make sure that you're happy with it as well. But then that sort of sometimes overtakes my actual performance. Like, I'm more focused on that. Like, if someone's upset in the changing rooms before, you need to sort that out before you can go and focus on yourself and on your game, because you want to perform well as a team. So I think sometimes that, like, I need to balance that better. But I think with like me, I have quite early nights on Friday, make sure I have a good meal, and then I wake up Saturday, speak to you if we have anything to speak about, like get it out of the way, and then I can focus on my own performance as such, whilst like trying to motivate the team throughout the game.
Sounds good. Do you feel like I put loads of pressure on you, or do you think it's manageable? You can be honest.
It's manageable. It is manageable. But like sometimes, like with the cup games, like when we've had double headed like on the weekends and like having to travel, it's been quite stressful, like having to sort all of that out. And like some of the admin can be a bit technical sometimes, but we've got through it this year, and I think we've worked quite well as a team, which has been really useful. I don't think I would have been able to do it without your help, really.
That's very kind. Okay, Mills, how much pressure? What's the sort of pressure you're feeling then? You've got it all going on.
I mean, there's always the pressure to play as well as possible, but then I always have in the back of my mind that there's always going to be that off day when I can't play as well as possible, and I shouldn't put pressure on myself to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But then I don't feel like there's too much pressure that gets put on. Obviously, I have the pressure to play well because I'm a Nags player and people just expect you to play better.
Yeah.
But then I feel like I cope under pressure better, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Which works quite well for me. But yeah.
Why do you think you cope under pressure? What, have you devised some sort of, secret weapon?
No, I don't know. I think it's just how I play. Like when I'm under loads of pressure, I play much better because there's much more like riding on the game, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I just love those moments. Do
you have to deal with any other outside pressures? Do you get sort of, expectation from family and friends and all that kind of stuff? Do you have to have any of that to deal with?
No, I don't feel like I get any extra pressure because all of my family and friends are like supportive about it.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's all fine.
So very lucky, very lucky. What about you, Sass?
Yeah, I think the same. I just think obviously now I've moved clubs, it is quite a lot of pressure to play well because my parents, like even at training, like my parents give up so much of their time, like their Monday nights to Saturdays, a lot of like traveling and stuff. So it's just wanting to make them happy that and know that what they're doing for us is worth it almost. So you want to like put in the best you can for them, but also like my dad always says, like if not every game you're going to play your best, but if you work your hardest, and that's all that matters. Like if you don't, I don't know, make the right pass like every time or something, like as long as you work your hardest and leave nothing out there, then that's all that really matters at the end of the day. Like you can't play, like no one plays 100% every game and amazing every game.
Yeah.
So it's just, and also dealing with like if you didn't have a good game, not being too hard on yourself and putting that pressure on yourself, like knowing how to cope with a bad match and then moving on and coming like stronger out of it and then playing better next week.
How do you cope with playing a bad match?
I think just like it's quite good, even though it's quite annoying when your parents like you should have done this, you should have done that, but like it's actually really helpful just talking through with them about like what you could have done better or something, and then taking that into your mind, like into your next training session, think, oh, I did this last match, what can I do better this time in like this same scenario or something.
Yeah. And
just like writing down maybe how your game went and stuff, what you can improve on, so you can take all those like negatives and turn them into positives. Sounds
spot on. That's textbook answer. Textbook, well done. Jenny, you're a couple of years, well, only a year, aren't you? You're older than Sass and Millie.
2 years.
2 years? Gosh, 2 years.
Yeah.
Wow. So you're obviously a little bit further forward. Do you agree with what they're saying? And do you experience any added pressure or expectations of friends and family? How's it affected you the last couple of years?
I definitely agree. I feel like I put quite a lot of pressure on myself.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously like struggle with confidence. So yeah, I feel like obviously feel external pressure. Like sometimes team selection, there's quite a lot of pressure, and sometimes you're getting questioned by people, why didn't you get selected? Those kind of questions from people which aren't necessarily a hockey player. So it's quite hard to deal with kind of what other people are thinking about your hockey and who you are as a player. There's obviously the pressure to play well all the time, but obviously that's not possible. So yeah, it can be tricky, but it's just a case of like communication again. Normally with family, saying I'm feeling so under pressure, like I don't feel like I can perform well, I'm so under pressure, and coaches as well. Because if you say to your coach, I'm feeling under so much pressure, I don't know what to do, they're always so helpful.
Have you guys ever come across a coach that hasn't been supportive? And we'll talk about that in more detail in another one of our chats. But in terms of pressure, has anyone not been supportive of you? Do you think? You don't need to name names. It's just an experience. All positive experience.
I think you definitely get coaches that like you aren't going to get along with, like it's going to happen, or like you feel like they don't like get along with you, or you don't communicate well. But I think it's just like finding ways to deal with that, and not letting it overtake your game, because it can get to you. And like I feel like I've experienced it, and it's just moving on from that, being like better about yourself, and like thinking, oh well, like if he doesn't think I'm good enough, knowing that like if you feel yourself you are good enough, and that's all that matters. Like not everyone's opinions, like they can like get to you, but trying to not think not everyone's going to like you, like it's just how life is. So it's just knowing that if you haven't got that one person you get along with, just like find someone else you get along with, talk to them, like let them like give you that boost that you need, but then like try and just play better, show that person that you do have worth and you know who you are, and it will make them think actually I was wrong about that person almost. So just trying to like change their mind, but also not letting it get to you and like ruining your game.
I think that's really, really important for in anything that you do, even as a coach as well, not just as a player. Believe in yourself, and there's always going to be somebody that doesn't quite agree with what you're doing or how you're performing. So yeah, that's a really good outlet, Sass. Just quickly then, Connie, you are just a not just, because you're a very important player in my team. You've been heading up the defence this year for me and doing a fantastic job. Do you feel pressure as a player in a ladies' Saturday team to perform, etc., etc.?
Yeah, I think although we all play in the threes because we love hockey, and I feel like there's always a level of expectation you have to meet, but sometimes dependent on how people are getting along that day and where we are in the league and stuff like that, I think there's more pressure than other times. And like Fox said, like cup games can get especially like heated and like as I said, dependent on how people get along. But I don't know, I love playing for both school and club. But at school it's different because Jenny can agree, like the level of hockey isn't as good. So I feel like there's more pressure on us to like not carry the team but look good, as in the threes everyone is at around the same level. So yeah, there's definitely a level of expectation, but pressure's good because I think it makes you play better. Well,
good.
Yeah.
Definitely. Okay, that's good. Right, guys, we're just going to wrap this up. We're going to come back in a couple of minutes and we'll take some questions from our students joining us today. Okay, so just bear with us and we'll be back. Thank you.